General Mattis is not playing around anymore, and he's making huge changes to the Navy, which I think you guys need to know right now. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic. Recently, Secretary of Defense Mattis talked about what was happening in the Navy, and there has been several talks amongst the Chief of Naval Operations and many other admirals, which I've seen video and interviews about. But now Secretary Mattis is going to be the one that is pretty much pushing the Navy in a totally opposite direction, and we're seeing the pendulum shift to the other side. And that is, we are stopping the focus on collateral duties or extra jobs and all the bake sales and all the other stuff that is not conducive to getting a mission complete, a warfighter ready, and being able to fight if it became apparent we needed to do so. I do think that this is probably a push from the stuff that we see on the horizon. Obviously, we are seeing a probable more likelihood of a naval battle other than our traditional what we think of battle in regards to maybe OIF, OEF in Afghanistan and Iraq. He is calling for all stopping of anything that is not going to make this happen, but it is still going to have a tiny place within the military. And this is also to include community service as well. I'll explain more of this if you are not in the military a little bit further in this video, so stay tuned. You see what happened when you're ranked against your peers. What you saw was a lot of times the person that was the collateral duty hog, the volunteer coordinator, the person that had 500 hours and did 5 college classes, they were the ones that were getting promoted. Now, if you realize I didn't talk about anything in that list that included their job, you would think that your job would be the primary matter of what is causing somebody to get promoted or not promoted. But what has been happening in the culture of what the Navy is we have been conducive to allowing these kinds of collateral duties and volunteer and community service and that stuff to take precedence in how we evaluate other people. And this is not just the Navy. I've also heard about issues like this in other branches as well. I personally have had issues with this as well, or people have beat me out even though I feel like I had known the job better. I was a more relied on technical expert in my field. There were peers around me that got better evaluations because they had this extra stuff on there. But as far as if you ask somebody to do the job and you ask them to perform it, who was the person they were going to go to? And that's what I wanted to drive home. And that's what's kind of frustrating, because that's one thing that you cannot really always quantify in numbers of hours of volunteer service or how many collateral duties you have. If I were to challenge anybody in the military right now and you went to work, or if you're about to join the military, think about this when you're joining up or wherever you're at, and you ask yourself, who would I take to war with me? Who knows their job? Who's committed to doing the job? Who is the one going to make sure that whatever is broke gets fixed? Whatever patient life is in their hand, they're going to actually save that person. That's what I think the focus should be on. So I'm going to say I totally agree with this push. I'm just glad that this push is finally being made. I will say I understand that these have their roles. Obviously, you want someone that's motivated to do more than just their job. You want somebody to be an ambassador for the military and look good. That's the reason why we do these things, is to have people that will help link up with community ties and make them stronger, be a representative for the Navy, and also make sure when you're in host nations, you've got Japanese, you have Spanish, you have all these other countries that you're there, and you want to strengthen the ties and obviously make our visit or our tenure at that base, whatever it may be, as pleasurable as possible. And I know this may sound crazy to someone that's not in the military, but this is the very true reality of what we've had since I've been in the military, where I was guided to do volunteer work and I was guided to take on extra collateral duties. For example, if there was a committee for a ball, I would have to say, oh, I want to go be a committee for the Corpsman Ball, which is just a party once a year. And you're like, how? It's obviously morale to the whole community and all that, but this is not the driving factor of what's going to get people to save lives. I would rather see the person that's maybe training somebody to save lives be the person that gets promoted versus somebody that's going to go help on a yearly ball committee event. So many of you are going to ask, what now, Nikki? What can I do to advance in the military? And that question is very valid, but the answer truthfully right now is that that is not going to be changing anytime soon. So as much as we have the brass, the high-ups, we have Secretary of Defense noting this stuff, the military in general is like a huge ship. It's very hard to turn quickly, fast, when you need to, but I will see that these probably will change with the new evaluation systems we're seeing in the Navy. I'm not sure how that will affect other branches and how they take this kind of stuff into effect. Yes, for now, still do your volunteer, still do your community service, still do all that stuff, because it's going to take years for this to actually take place. And it's going to trickle down all the way down the chief's mess to your first classes, to your E5s, and it's going to be a generational thing. Maybe by the time I'm out, it will be totally transferred into something else, but I'm hoping that's the case. And I do say this because I had a great mentor, which I'm not going to mention his name, but I wrote him recently, and he's not about the volunteer stuff or anything like that. He made chief, and I wrote him, and there's some stuff he's going through, and I said, hey man, you taught me that I could make it to that rank, E7 chief or higher, and I could not have to do volunteer work, not sell a single cookie, not do any of that stuff. I still want to hold that true because I really find a lot of pleasure and joy in training the next member that's going to be in this fighting force, you know? That's why I make these videos. It's exactly why I do, to prepare you guys. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you already in the Navy? What do you think if you're not in the Navy about this situational change, or are you shocked by what I'm telling you the culture is like? If you do have questions, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.